Hey everybody, I'm going to show you 3 massive fails that stagnate, hurt, or ultimately kill off new and budding or aspiring bookkeeping businesses. Now, my name is Rob. I own Feedback Ranch. We do websites, accounting, or we do websites and marketing for accounting firms and bookkeepers. But let me tell you a tale of a typical bookkeeping entrepreneur, one that doesn't manage to steer clear of these 3 major fails. And I'm telling you, I put a lot of thought into this. This is going to be dense. I'm going to move very quickly here. Like and subscribe if this is helpful. I'm going to have bookkeeperseo.com, accountingwebsites.org.com. We got accountanthustle.com, a whole bunch of accountant resources coming out here. And if you're a bookkeeper, this is relevant to you. So this new bookkeeping business person, this is a scenario, right? They watch some YouTube videos about the financial freedom that they might achieve and like the lifestyle flexibility that they'll have starting their own bookkeeping business. And maybe they hear something like Bill Von Fumetti's or some of these Facebook and YouTube ads saying how a bookkeeping business is one of the most profitable businesses ever. And since they're really organized and they're kind of high detailed, entrepreneurial type of person, they decide to invest and to get going with this thing. And they start or they pursue beginning a bookkeeping business. Now, most of them, and I talk to these folks all the time. I'm telling you this story because I talk to scores of accountants every week, every month. I talk to probably over 100. Now, they end up joining this program, which is usually a fairly good program. I think Bill Von Fumetti and a couple of these other ones are really great. The program might teach them how to do bookkeeping, how to price it and sell it, and even how to get your own customers using digital marketing or in-person sales. Now, this bookkeeper, probably did some bookkeeping for their old employer, which is often a common thread. So the course really just provides some excellent learning on top of what they already know. This is very typical. The person has all sorts of dopamine hits in their brain as they progress through the program, and they inch closer and closer to this financial breakthrough that they might have in their family, or they start to smell the work from home freedom that they've heard so much about on the internet. And it can be really engaging, super exciting as you progress through all of these courses. This well-meaning new bookkeeping business owner creates their LLC, they set up a brand, build a little website and a social media profile, and they use the pricing models that they learned from their courses or that they bought online, right? That's very typical. Now, the next thing, they start advertising because they learned a bunch about advertising. And the first one that they usually do is that they pick an industry niche, create a lead magnet with a sales landing page. So it might be 5 ways to reduce your taxes for concrete companies or crypto investors or whatever that is. And then they'll have a sales letter, like a video that actually speaks to that person. And then they run Facebook and Instagram ads too. That's very classical. We see that with a lot of like millionaire firms. And there's quite a few folks, and it's a strategy. They start doing this and they start getting some hits, but they soon find out that their website or their ClickFunnels landing page and this CRM is getting filled up with lots of spam. And in particular, it seems like lots of other bookkeepers and accountants are the ones signing up for their lead magnet. And kind of look at it as like booksforevermn@gmail.com. And it seems like this activity is going on in this campaign, but not a lot of customers end up coming through. Now, there might be 1 or 2, but they run the marketing for a couple of months and they eventually get a client. And that might go moderately well, except that they're so unsure of their self and so scared to death and aware of their inexperience that they end up undercharging this client. And they do that with the next couple clients. Maybe each time they inch up just a little bit, but that's pretty natural, right? Now, after spending like $5,000 to $6,000 on websites, landing pages, lead magnets, ads, funnel creation, and weeks of planning and writing drip emails, they start to get a little panicked. And I talk to folks at this point all the time. So they turn to YouTube to find another way to get clients because this whole lead magnet Facebook ad thing seems to get some action, but it doesn't put butts in seats. And now I'll have another video that talks about why that is such a struggle lately. But on YouTube, they might find a nice, well-mannered, confident young person. Now, I'm 41, I'm not young. This is not me, touting the power of like LinkedIn sales and how you could utilize cold outreach and LinkedIn Messenger to get lots of clients and how they've done that before, right? So now this new bookkeeper might commit a couple of months to this, and the only person they end up getting is a small real estate investor and maybe like a crypto investor that they found on there. And then they end up working with like 3 to 5 marketing gurus because the marketing guru ended up reaching out to them in the same way they were reaching out, and they tried to tell them how they could help them, and you make a little connection. This is very typical. So at this time, our bookkeeper has about 7 clients, each of them may be paying a generous $300 a month. That's pretty generous, actually. They might be bringing them about $2,100 a month, 7 clients, $300 a month, but this has taken about 9 months to accomplish. This is very typical. Now, that's not bad, but it certainly isn't paying the mortgage. And if we're honest, they've also sunk about $10,000 worth of cash and opportunity costs into this whole thing. Now, the client starts to keep them busy. All of their clients have needs and they're not really making a ton of money. They have to shut down the ads at this point because the ROI is just a struggle. They're running out of cash and they end up working essentially for free. It's super frustrating. I know I talk to so many bookkeepers in this exact same situation. They watch all sorts of YouTube, Instagram, all of these gurus teaching them how to do this stuff. But typically this bookkeeper putters out. And then they end up applying for like a bookkeeping job that they found at a mid-sized construction company down the road, and they essentially abandon their dream of owning a highly profitable, ultra-convenient bookkeeping business. Those that don't jump, they end up maybe taking that job, but some of them might hold on, and maybe at best I see that they end up with about 20 clients, all of them demanding their time and energy, and each of these clients end up only paying about $300 a month for this bookkeeping service. So that would mean that they either quit and get a job, or maybe they have like 20 clients, about $300 a month. If you have 20 companies viewing you as your full-time bookkeeper and they're only bringing in a gross of like $72,000 a year or $6,000 a month, that might sound all right, not that bad. But I'm telling you, if you saw how much opportunity was missed, how much potential fell through your fingers, you'd be scared to death. And that's what I want to help you with. Now, I share this because I think that it's the outcome way too many aspiring bookkeepers experience because the guides helping them aren't frank and aren't honest enough with them to share that most people end up this way. Most guides or gurus selling how-to stuff in the bookkeeping community make most of their money off the business of selling the bookkeeping business dream. A lot of these guys have never gotten a successful, high-protein bookkeeping business off the ground. They never made it. And those that can't do, sell. No, I'm a marketer, but I've done this twice. Here at Feedback Ranch, we help accountants with strategy, messaging, websites, ads, and SEO to make the web into an amazing sales and marketing employee for your accounting business or bookkeeping business or whatever that is. Go look at our work. Go look at our reviews. Here's the big difference, and I don't want to tout myself. I want to do this humbly. I don't work with accountants because they're my first choice in a marketing niche. They're actually very difficult. Accountants and bookkeepers are terrible to sell to compared to my contractors and builders. They're like selling to engineers. I don't work with accountants because I'm an accountant at heart either. That's not why. I'm not an accountant at heart. I only know enough about accounting and tax to participate heavily in the conversation. The reason why I work with accounting firms is because I partnered with a CPA and I actually built something. My best friend was a CPA and we built nuancefinancial.com. And that was because we created a strategy, messaging, and marketing that created an unfair advantage, quite frankly, at creating this super profitable small accounting firm. So that's enough about me. But that's why I'm creating this. We do a ton of accountant websites, advertising, messaging. I have a course out there, but that's not why I do it. It's because I built one and I found this and I know how to help you. In fact, your clientele from a bookkeeper standpoint, it's not that different from who I sell to. Now, I'm going to share with you 3 massive fails I've seen underpinning this typical bookkeeping startup because I want to help you build a bookkeeping business that earns you like $150,000 to $600,000 in gross profit. That's what I want to do, rather than just barely replacing your income, because that's what most of these courses are doing. The tips you're about to get, these 3 things, will help you get more appointments, sell larger retainers, become more valuable to your customers, and have a more thriving bookkeeping business. Now, if you're able to sell properly, which means you're able to systematically align your services to what's really valuable and important to your clients, that same 20 client book could easily be paying you $900 a month instead of $300 a month, and you'd be making $216,000 gross instead of $72,000. So here's the first major bookkeeping fail. Now listen carefully. It's that your service is not aligned to what's really valuable to a business customer. You're just simply not aligned. You're either not valuable or you're not using the language of what's valuable to your customer. When you find out what's valuable to your customer, you'll be in position to connect your service to those value points. And the prospect will feel the weight of your service, and you can make a bigger sale. Absent a value interpreter or a salesperson, all negotiations deteriorate to price. Absent you, it all comes down to price. Without someone engaging with a prospect and working to connect their solutions to that prospect's problems, they're going to think of you as a commodity, especially if you're just a bookkeeper. And I have news for you. Nobody wants to buy bookkeeping services. Nobody. I don't want to buy that. You are selling something they really don't care about at all because your role is just a means to an end. I'm going to share with you how you can practical steps to identify what's important to the business customer. And then I'm going to share with you some of what I've actually found. So I'm going to show you how, and then I'm going to give you the answer of what is valuable to a business owner. So how do you identify what's valuable to each business owner or prospect? Okay. By asking probing questions, building connection with them, and developing a wise understanding about your prospect. So building connections with them, asking probing questions, and developing a wise understanding about your prospects. So you better be taking notes with me here. And also when you get a meeting, you got to take notes. So first off, let's slow this conversation that you're having with a prospect. That's the first thing. If somebody actually shows up and you get to talk to them, or maybe you bumped into them, I want you to enter them into a 3-part sales process. Because a methodical sales process will provide the context for you to ask great probing questions, to develop a wise understanding of what's valuable, and it gives you an environment to build connections personally and professionally with your prospect. The 3-phase meeting process is to hold a connect meeting, then perform an analysis, and then you share a proposal that's tuned just to them. Every bit of marketing and selling that you do, every part of your conversation should drive to a connect meeting and then an analysis. That's what you're really all about. You got to do that analysis. In the connect meeting, you need to just discover the journey that's got them there. Okay, this is huge. Listen to me very carefully. When you're first interacting with a potential prospect, you got to find out how they got to where they are. Second, you got to find out where they currently stand or where they perceive themselves to currently stand. And then the last part, figure out where they're trying to get to. If you do not understand the journey and the story, if you don't start that conversation, you will never be able to sell value. You should be purposeful in the connect meeting and don't beat around the bush either. You own a bookkeeping and accounting business and you'd like to earn their business. None of this, I'd like to see if we have common threads. No. Hey, look, I own a bookkeeping and accounting business. I'd either like to hear what's valuable to you, help you understand who I am so that if you have somebody else, you could refer me, or I want to earn your business. In fact, you can call on people, you can use advertising, you can create content, YouTube videos, Instagram stuff, and all sorts of front-end activity to pique people's curiosity in order to get that connect meeting with you. But once they've been in that meeting, you need to be focused on discovery and taking amazing notes. So start the meeting off with some simple questions. I want to give you some of these, okay? So tell me about your business and what's got you reaching out. That's one of my favorite go-tos, right? So tell me about your business and what made you want to take this meeting with me.
Well, because you manipulated me and got me here.
No, just start as broad as possible. So tell me about your business. How long you been doing this? You might even ask 3 to 4 questions in once. So I do a lot of, so tell me about how you got started and what's got you up to this point. So tell me how you got started. Who's your main customer and what's your bread and butter core service? That's huge. Who's your main customer and what's your bread and butter core focus service, or what's your main service? Who's your best customer? Who's your perfect customer? There's about 1,000 ways to say that, but you have to get to that because that's the burden they're carrying. All business comes down to sales and production. Now, another question I want you to get really good at, how much revenue did you drive last year? And how many transactions was that? How much money did you make last year? How much revenue did you bring in? And how many transactions was that? I always laugh when business owners, in fact, there's a guy out there, I really like what he does, but he's always like, I've done 20 billion in XYZ revenue. And I'm like, well, what were your margins? Like, if you were that high on margin, you just sell an expensive product, right? So here's some more questions. Is it just you working in the business? Are you married or do you have family members that all engage in the business? Tell me about who's all participating. You do want to get to their family. You want to understand that because there's other stakeholders you need to identify. Another question, how do you do your invoicing? Like, how do you invoice and what's it like getting paid? Tell me how you get paid by your customers. What do you use and who takes care of all that? How do you pay your vendors? Like, what does that look like? You want to start thinking of the operations, the blocking and tackling of this business. Here's another one. What's your main value proposition? What are you trying to do to stand out from your competitors? So what's all your staff and team look like? So who's all on your team? How many staff people do you have? Who are the critical players? You should be writing all these down. Here's another one. So tell me what it's like what are you building up to? So what do you want the next 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years to look like? Tell me what's been working well with your bookkeeping, taxes, payroll, and accounting. That's another great one. So tell me, what's your current accountant doing that you absolutely love? What's got you staying there? Like, play into it, right? What's been the dynamic for tax reduction planning? Like, how confident are you that you're doing everything possible to reduce your taxes and mitigate kind of those lifelong taxes? Tell me what you're doing every year and every quarter. Sit there and listen. How much cash you holding in your company? You do want to get an idea of like, what do the bank accounts look like? So the idea here, I got all sorts of questions that I could bring up here. I'm not going to bore you with all these, but you'll start hearing what's really important in those conversations, right? Now, as you ask those questions, you should be taking rigorous notes. I mean, more notes than you ever think you possibly should. And I'm going to unbox what I personally see as kind of these 3 most valuable things to a business owner when it comes to their bookkeeping, accounting, and then the tax. And right there, I bet something just peaked. I started this video talking about bookkeeping, and now I'm talking about taxes and accounting. So by now, you're probably seeing a theme here that I'm not just talking about bookkeeping services. I'm talking about taxes, tax planning, bookkeeping, business operations, and payroll, even a CFO. This is a whole other subject on a different video, but I do recommend that you abide by what I call the outsourced accounting model that I talk about on my website. I've got a link in the description here. And that whole idea is that the outsourced accounting model is a combination of tax planning, ongoing bookkeeping, CFO level guidance, year-end tax return preparation, and assistance to help them pay in your taxes. You basically become like their tax and accounting department. Now, these services are all adjacent to each other. And these are the kind of services that can be performed at a higher level when they're in tune with each other. They're adjacent, and you could be a better tax planner if you're the bookkeeper. You can be a better bookkeeper if you know the tax laws. You could be a better CFO if you also understand their taxes. They all play into each other, so I really recommend that. I won't talk about that anymore, but all that out of the way, let's dive into the 3 things that I see as most valuable to a customer. Number 1, we have tax reduction and building tax efficient wealth. That's the number 1 thing. Every business owner sees the gross and hates writing the check for the taxes. This has probably changed our country, right? You'll want to ask enough questions about what they're doing for tax reduction strategy while simultaneously imbuing all your language and your presentations with tax mitigation talk. No red-blooded American or entrepreneur wants to overpay in tax. And no matter how leftist or liberal somebody is, I've still yet to find a business owner that tries to round up in their taxes. They don't exist. You should be positioning that you're able to engage proactively throughout the year to make sure that they do everything possible to reduce their taxes, but also not break the law and not trigger audits. Business owners value proactive tax planning, and we all know that they need fundamental help identifying tax strategies, implementing those tax strategies, as well as making wise decisions about investing for the future. You should be helping them. Here's some ideas. You should be helping them maximize their business entity, particularly an S-Corp. You should also be helping them implement benefits, healthcare plans, health plans, benefits, retirement plans, fringe benefits. Benefits are super big tax write-offs. You can guide them on how to hire their children and take advantage of the standard deduction tax bracket. You can also guide them to buy real estate and start utilizing depreciation, cost segregations, passive income that's free of Social Security taxes. You could buy a building, own it in an LLC, and then have your S-Corp lease from it. You can do a ton here, but you also need to help them to save and invest for the future, which is why it's always mitigate taxes and build tax efficient wealth. Don't advise them on securities. That's against the law. You have to have a securities license, but point them in the direction of Vanguard or Schwab for a low-cost index fund on a 401k, a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, even defined benefit plans. I don't think those companies provide them, but if nobody has statutory employees or they don't have statutory employees, which means non-officers or non-employees, you got to check that yourself, but they can do an individual 401k from Vanguard, and you could put up to 25% of your S-Corp salary, 25% of your Schedule C. Go check the laws by yourself. But you could do gigantic write-offs into these solo 401ks. They're perfect for, all sorts of small business. So as you ask questions though, you know how you can have these tools at your disposal, and you need to be good at piquing their curiosity about whether this is being done for them and find out if they value this tax reduction planning. Because I'm telling you, some of them will really like some of these tactics, but remember when the year end comes up and you have a pass-through entity and they're sitting on a bunch of cash, you owe it to your customers. This is what real tax planning is all about. You got to give them aggressive guidance to help them either invest for growth in new machinery, products, tools, whatever they need, so they can invest for the future growth rather than take the hit on the chin and just pay the taxes. You owe it to them to help them guide. If they're sitting on $500,000 in cash in their business account, you should be guiding them to either invest for the future, invest in these strategies or tactics, or get ready to pay in the taxes. So you'll also remember that business owners often neglect simple investing. They're terrible at this, and they end up in retirement solely dependent on the sale of their business, or they miss out on the wonders of compounding interest. Look, I get it. They want real estate. They want businesses. They got a great and they avoid the predictable thing. You owe it to them to have them start saving in a Vanguard S&P 500 index. It's pretty hard to get away from. So the first thing that you're doing is you're imbuing your talk about tax strategy, wealth planning, and you should be seeing what portion of that value is actually important to them. That's the first problem that you're not doing. The second most valuable thing, so taxes and building wealth, number one most valuable thing that I find. So imbue everything. The second most valuable thing to a business owner is compliance, peace of mind, risk mitigation, and IRS protection. Fear will drive us. And there are few things as scary to an American or a business owner than to have the massive bureaucracy of the IRS pointing their guns at you. Also, they want to know that everything's being done right in their business. So you're going to bring risk mitigation, IRS protection, peace of mind, and compliance. You should be asking questions about how confident they are that they have immaculate financials, as well as how confident they are that their books are firm enough that they could withstand an audit. Beyond this fear, they also just want to know where they are with things. I always tell the story of how my wife used to ask right around the end of the year whether or not we were going to owe taxes. That peace of mind I didn't have. Business owners will pay you to make sure that you don't have a giant tax surprise at the end of the year, and it brings a ton of peace of mind to know that you're not going to owe $8,000, but rather you're going to be getting an $8,000 tax return, or that you're flat. That peace of mind helps my marriage a lot. So you got to talk about making sure that things are done correctly with tax law, and that you'll ensure that these busy businesses don't forget something. You have to be their defensive plan. You should help your client pay in their taxes and use the payroll system to do that. Don't let them fall behind. It's such an easy thing to force the savings for their taxes throughout the year by using the payroll, and you can help them avoid big surprises. The last thing that you want to bring up is the idea that when you and your team do the bookkeeping, you are professionals. And then when they hire someone that maybe calls themselves a bookkeeper, they might be using an amateur bookkeeper or a bookkeeper without tax acumen, or they don't have as in-depth knowledge as what you have, and they're going to make costly mistakes. And you should be assuring them that when the work is done by you and your team, or you yourself, that you're going to get things done properly and help them avoid IRS problems. Like, how confident are they that Curtis is doing the books right, or Jenny, their team person? The last and most important thing that you have to talk about in healthy, high caliber businesses really value. So number one is tax mitigation. Number two is making sure things are done right, mitigating risks, providing peace of mind. Number three is they value productivity, efficiency, and running a lean operation. That's what it's all about. Those of us that are juggling a team, we value that. You're able to come in as an accounting firm or bookkeeper and keep their team focused on what they do best. You'll also be able to help them avoid hiring unnecessary administration staff for a much longer time. You'll genuinely help their team stay in their strengths, keep them focused, and you can also bring a great deal of CFO level guidance to the table. When you're selling and talking with your prospect, you'll want the conversation to mature to a point where you're talking about each team member's core focus. Like, what is that little team doing? What are they supposed to be doing? Find out where you can pick up the slack to help energy of the team flow in the direction of sales, marketing, and production. Administration staff, the hours that admin or people spend in admin and the energy that they have to spend in administration can bog a business down. It's outside of the most important things, sales, marketing, and production. And you'll be helping them stay leaner for longer by empowering them to build a more profitable and scalable business. And that's the last thing. It's like the capstone most valuable thing. You're not selling value if you're not tapping into these things. So the most valuable thing most business owners want is to scale their operation further, and they would like to improve profitability. When you're able to tie in all these multiple things required to build a more scalable and profitable business, you're going to become valuable to a business owner. So during the Connect meeting and your analysis, you're going to be looking and using questions. You're going to be looking at how they're positioned for these value propositions. You'll want to cast vision that these are some ways that you can add value, and then ask excellent questions that illuminate this future that it could be. You're going to help them go from stuck here to a better future. And this is the problem. Most of these business owners don't understand or can't put into words, or they just overlook the potential of what these value props could look like. So once you've done that in a Connect meeting and analysis, you can do a proposal that's tied to exactly what's most valuable to them. This is incredibly important for bookkeepers, accountants, CPAs, tax professionals. Nobody likes buying your service. You got to get this. Nobody wants to buy your service, but they all want some of these benefits. So get really good at identifying what's valuable, and then you'll be in position to not only sell larger retainers, but you'll ultimately be able to transform your company into something that's incredibly valuable. Your business will be more valuable. Remember, you don't want them to think of you as a cheap bookkeeper. You don't want them to see you as just a tax professional. You want to be their outsourced team delivering huge value, and bookkeeping is just one part of that service. So the first fail is that your service isn't tied to or doesn't really deliver what's truly valuable to your customer. That's fail number one. That's a big one. The rest of these will go a little bit quicker. The second fail is that bookkeepers will want high retainer diamond clients, these prestige clients, but they don't do enough mining of the raw materials to find those diamonds. Your high retainer clients are really, they're like diamonds to you, right? You absolutely want them. But in order to get enough diamonds, you have to process lots and lots of material. If you look at actual mining, if you want more diamonds, you don't peer deeper into a pile of ore. No, you process more and more ore. And in this analogy, prospecting phone calls, YouTube videos, advertising, marketing, networking, cold calling, all front-end activity is mining. Front-end activity. Confronting people with the idea that you can make their life better, piquing their curiosity that you can solve a problem for them, that's front-end activity. And most aspiring bookkeepers don't do the math to find out how many phone calls, clicks on ads, prospecting phone calls, texts, connections, conversations it's going to take to actually build a significant business. Now, I won't belabor this too much. This is in my course, but if you need, let's say, 85 clients paying between $500 and $3,500 a month, and only 15% of the prospects that you do an in-depth analysis about end up closing with you. So 85 clients is the goal. 15% of the people you talk to or call are going to close with you, or do the analysis with, are going to actually close. So you're going to need 566 analysis meetings. That's a swing of the bat at the ball to hit a home run. So in order for you to get 85 diamonds, you have to have 566 analysis meetings. Now that's 3 to 5 analysis meetings a week, depending on how close you're trying to get there and where that close rate is. But to get 566 meetings, that's people actually doing a meeting with you. You have to network, cold call, warm call, message, advertise, create YouTube content, do pay per click, whatever it takes. You get a whopping 8% of your ads or your calls or these networking conversations to peek into an actual analysis. That means you're going to need about 7,000 conversations, clicks, or phone calls to get those 566 meetings. If you want a healthy bookkeeping and accounting business, you'll need to really push hard to get enough prospecting conversations. That's the blood of this business. It's the heartbeat of this business. You have to prospect. Too many people have no idea how many no's you have to confront. So here's some quick ideas. So create a sweet website, run Google search ads with remarketing. That's the bread and butter that we do. You should create a YouTube and create content for your sector or your niche or your location niche. Create a bunch of videos introducing yourself to concrete contractors or to people that live in Minneapolis. You should try to make 20 connections every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I mean connections. It might take 100 phone calls, introductions, call your buddies, call your current clients, ask them if they know anybody, get referrals. I don't care how it is. You got to get 20 a day. If you do that, you will win. You should cold email and cold call local business owners. Jump into Google and look up all the Keller Williams real estate agents and email them and call them and text them, but just be upfront about it. A professional call. See, good businesses are used to somebody professionally calling on them. So you don't have to beat around the bush with this. Look, I'm an accountant or I'm a bookkeeper, and I help small businesses with proactive tax planning, and then I can do your bookkeeping and make your finances perfect. Do you have a great tax planner and bookkeeper already? No? Can I buy you coffee or can I connect with you? I'd love to earn your business. Like, get some conviction on this. You should join an association or a BNI group. You could do lunch and learns for real estate brokerages. That's what I did. You can run Facebook ads and do that whole lead magnet thing. There's a flaw to that. But the bottom line is that the only way that you get lots and lots of high-end diamond clients is to process lots and lots of material or prospects or conversations so that you can actually find the small percentage of customers that will love you. And there's one time where front-end activity, you got to do a little bit more, but you need to spend like 80% of your energy getting in front of people and piquing their curiosity that you can really help their business and talk their language. They want lower tax. I just equipped you with what's valuable to them. Pique their curiosity. And you should get emboldened and passionate. You're not selling some weird multi-level marketing scheme. You're not selling snake oil or some cheap product. You're selling something that deeply impacts every business owner you'll meet. And if they don't do this, they're going to go to jail or they're going to run their business into the ground. So be sure to spend time cultivating your passion around serving small businesses and their families. You can fix marriages, help parents be connected to their children, so that you can have the energy and mental fortitude to face the rejection of prospecting. In order to process lots, you got to make phone calls, make YouTube videos, do cold emails, you got to create Google ads. And I tell you what, so here's what this can look like. You can do some really simple, hey, I just want to let you know that my name is Rob. I have an accounting or bookkeeping business right down the road from me, and I do proactive tax planning with bookkeeping. I'm wondering if you have a really good proactive accountant or if I could possibly earn your business. I'd just love to send you an email. That's so easy. So I tell you what, you got to find ways to make those connect meetings, do the analysis, run ads and get enough going. But you have to get that front end activity. And that leads me to the third major pitfall or failure that bookkeepers makes. Here's number 3. And it's that they price too low because they shop out of their own pocket. Number 3 is that they price too low because they shop out of their pocket. You cannot build a great business selling $200 to $300 a month bookkeeping engagements. Now, some people kind of do, but you have to be able to scale. The math really isn't in your favor. I'm stunned by how diverse accountants think about this pricing thing. I'll talk to scores of accountants and bookkeepers every month, hundreds of them. And some of them are like so eager to sign up $200 to $400 a month clients. And then the ones that really make it, they're like, I need clients to be at $1,500 to $3,500 a month. But tons of you get so excited about $200 to $400 a month. You should only work with people that are a great fit for your business, that value the stack of services in the outsourced accounting services, and that you can land. I'm telling you, you should be positioning $900 a month to $2,500 a month in these services every time. Not because that's good for you, which it is, but because it's going to be that valuable to a whole lot of business owners. This is what you have to believe and know. Trust me, I've been here. I'm a Jedi. I've done this before, okay? Stick to your guns on your pricing, on your higher pricing. Good is the enemy of great in this business. $250 a month clients are just about as much work as a $3,500 a month client. Trust me, depending on how you position it. But stick to this perfect fit mentality where they want you to do all the services that align to each other. You do their taxes, do their tax planning, at minimum, tax planning, bookkeeping, and CFO, and helping them run a more efficient business. At least that. If you don't want to do the tax return, you better find a CPA that's going to help you with that. I'm just telling you, if you don't do that, a tax firm's going to approach your client and take your bookkeeping client. But if you build a practice with 20 clients at that $900 to $1,500 a month, it's so much better. And you can't sell large retainers if you can't connect value. And you don't even get to sell value if you don't do that prospecting. It's all intertwined here. So if you want to build a successful bookkeeping business, please reach out to our team here at Feedback Wrench so that we can coach you, build your strategy, develop your messaging. Like, I understand this because I am your customer. I sell to your customer. I did exactly what you're trying to do. We'll build you a website, ads, Google platform, SEO, so that you can actually grow a profitable and scalable business. So my name is Rob. I got a nice little team of 7 of us that would love to help you. And those are the 3 biggest mistakes or failures. Number 1, that your service isn't aligned to what's really valuable to your customer. Number 2, that you want high retainer diamond clients, but you're not mining enough raw material to find the diamond clients. You're not prospecting or spending enough on front-end activity. And number 3, you're stuck selling out of your own pocket. Hey, like and subscribe if this is helpful. We're going to have some other channels, accountingwebsites.org, accountanthustle.com, and Bookkeeper SEO, because we're just going to keep getting in front of people and helping you. Good luck. God bless. I'm thankful for this opportunity.